Welcome to the Australian Weight Loss Surgery Podcast, where every 2 weeks we explore all the aspects of the weight loss surgery journey. You'll hear from a range of experts including bariatric surgeons, psychologists, patients and dietitians sharing up-to-date informative advice to help fast-track your long-term weight loss success.
Hi everyone and welcome back to the Australian Weight Loss Surgery Podcast. I'm Jackie Lewis, clinical nutritionist for BN Multi, and today I'm here with Amber Kay. Welcome, Amber.
Thank you, Jackie. Lovely to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming along. So I'll just tell the audience a little bit about you first, and then we'll go on to continue to discuss your great programs and the specialist area you're working in. So you're the co-author of the Get Back on Track After Weight Loss Surgery book and co-founder of the Fresh Start program, which has been running since 2010. It assists weight loss patients in creating and sustaining their new healthy lifestyle and mindset to support the weight loss surgery journey. And Amber, you're a qualified mindset coach and you've got over 20 years of experience.
Yep, that's right.
On top of that, you have an honours degree in psychology.
Yeah.
And you're also part of the associate member of the ANSMOS, Australian and New Zealand Metabolic and Obesity Society.
Yeah.
So that's quite a resume you have there.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Jackie. Yeah, it's been a really interesting journey to get where we are now. So I'm looking forward to sharing a little bit about sort of what we do and how we got here for sure.
Absolutely. And that's my first question. Tell me a little bit about yourself and what led you to where you are today.
Basically, after I did my psych degree, I was really interested about human motivation and why people do what they do and how to kind of get the best from people. So I actually went into human resources, and I was a human resources manager for a global investment bank for about 12 years. And although I loved what I did for a lot of the time, I didn't feel like I was adding enough value and helping people, I guess, create the lives they wanted. So I moved into coaching and became a mindset coach. Now, on the side of this, my husband, Alex, he left a career in law and started a personal training business and became a wellness coach as well. And so back in 2010, Alex and I were collaborating on lifestyle coaching programs for his personal training clients. And one of those clients was a bariatric surgeon in Sydney, Dr. David Martin. And he approached us and said, could you put something like this kind of wellness coaching program together for my patients, my weight loss surgery patients? Because what he was seeing was that quite a lot of his patients were struggling to bridge the gap between what they knew and what they were actually doing in terms of following through on their really great intentions after their surgery. They were getting in their own way, or they were noticing old habits creeping back in. They weren't necessarily able to follow through on creating the healthy lifestyle that was going to best support their surgery. And so this was a completely new area for us. So back in 2010, we put together a 12-week program, and basically over the years, based on, what we've learned from working in this area, what we've learned from our clients, it's now the Fresh Start program, which is a 2-year support program for people who've had weight loss surgery. Yeah,
fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so it's a 2-year program. And what is the essence of the Fresh Start program? What are the key elements of that for a patient?
So basically, our aim is and our mission, if you like, is to equip and support weight loss surgery patients with the mindset and lifestyle tools that they need to be able to live the happier, the healthier life that they intend to, and to fill that gap between knowing and doing. Because generally what we find is, weight loss surgery patients, they have information. They know that, good nutrition is important. They know that movement is important. And yet following through on that and sustaining it, that's the piece that often kind of presents a struggle, or there's interference in there. And what we've found over time is that we thought originally it was, movement's important, nutrition's important, and mindset's important. And we kind of were addressing them and giving them equal weighting. And what we've found over the years is that the mindset piece is the most important piece, because it's the mindset piece that determines the link between the knowing and the doing. So that's where we focus most of our attention. It's about getting our clients, so weight loss surgery patients, to understand how their mind works, to understand and uncover what's getting in the way. Is it beliefs around around their self-worth? Is it beliefs around who they think they are and what is possible for them? Is it their associations with movement or nutrition? Is it what strategies they use, for example, to manage stress, and how they use food and how they see food and so on? So all of these aspects in terms of mindset, and especially in terms of what's going on unconsciously as opposed to consciously, what are those automatic patterns of behavior and patterns of thinking that are driving them to do the things that they're doing and the things that they're thinking that are getting them results, especially where there's results that they don't actually want.
Correct. And so it's accessing those associations and belief systems and all the things we're fed when we're growing up around food and our relationship with who we are and what we eat, and accessing that to a certain extent to bring about change.
Absolutely. So accessing it, becoming aware of it, and then identifying, okay, what needs to change in order to move myself forward? What do I need to let go of? What do I need to take on so that I can get to where I want to go and keep going and stay on track and sustain it when I get there? Because it's, we're going to talk about getting back on track and staying on track. And it is a constant application of principles, if you like. So coaching principles, for example, but it's also about having those tools in your toolbox so that whenever you need them, you go, okay, I know what's happening here. I know what I need to do differently. Let me figure out what's getting in the way and let me make those changes. So really our aim is to, I guess, make ourselves redundant, if you like, in terms of empowering our clients to be able to create the life and the health that they want, that they desire, that they deserve, and do that for themselves.
Absolutely. And I guess that independence is the key. I hear what I'm hearing in what you're saying is that should we be relying on willpower, or is it deeper than that?
It's actually deeper than that, because willpower doesn't tend to last. So people often give themselves a hard time in terms of thinking, oh, I'm not disciplined enough and I don't have enough willpower. And actually, we need willpower when we are pushing ourselves towards something. And there's kind of two forces of motivation, if you like. There's push and there's pull. And when we have to push ourselves towards something, towards a goal, for example, that takes effort, that takes energy, that takes effort. That's where the willpower comes in. And willpower doesn't last. And when we're trying to push ourselves, it's usually because there's some sort of negative association unconsciously or some pain attached to the goal or the thing that we're trying to get to. And that could be, the work that we think is required to get there. It could be what we think life will be like if we achieve that goal, or who we have to become to achieve that goal. And there can be all sorts of reasons behind that. So for example, if I have an identity of, well, I'm the one in my family with a weight problem, and then if I did achieve my goal, well, then I wouldn't have that problem anymore. Unconsciously, there may be a part of me that goes, well, then who am I in my family? What role do I have in my family? Will I still be loved? Will I still be needed and wanted? And so unconsciously, I might sabotage myself because I'm actually going to prefer to be struggling with my weight and holding on to that identity rather than achieving that goal, because there's pain attached to it. So there's all sorts of reasons why we might self-sabotage. That's just like one example. Yeah. But then that's because we're going to push ourselves. So what we really want to do is create a scenario where we feel pulled towards a goal. And the way we do that is by getting clear on it and getting excited about it, because then we're not relying on willpower. There's more of a kind of magnetic effect, if you like.
That's really interesting. And I think willpower's great when life's going well.
Yes, absolutely.
Anything comes into the mix and you've got to maintain, willpower on top of 8 other different things that are happening in life. So yeah, if you can get to the point where it's more of a conditioned response or a natural response to, moving yourself towards that healthy goal, it's certainly going to make it a lot less. I mean, the work is not easy when you're looking at yourself for the first time, perhaps, but I think once you've done that and you clear the way, it can actually flow quite beautifully. Do you notice that in your patients?
Yeah, absolutely. Like the realizations that we see and hear in our clients when they realize that, if you like, the only thing standing in their way is them. And once they realize that they don't have to wait wait or wish or hope for things to change external to them, that they actually have the power to choose their response and take responsibility for what they are experiencing and own that. And then also get clear on what they want, get clear on why they want it, then that does become so much, not effortless, but easier. It's always going to take work. And that's the thing. There's no kind of easy steps. It's still going to require work. However, the work becomes a lot more flowing because there's a lot more alignment between what I want, where I'm going, and how I'm getting there.
Correct.
If that makes
and
sense.
There's a sure path on the way forward a lot of the time. And I think that's part of it. Is I see a lot of patients getting lost along the way with, I need to count my calories, I need to do this, I need to do more exercise, I've got all these needs to do, but not necessarily that methodology of, how do I hatch this plan? It's fantastic. It sounds like a real gem to come across. And so is the Fresh Start program, is it based on other modalities? What sort of different underpinnings does it have?
So it's mainly based on coaching modalities, and by coaching, how we see coaching is that we're assisting our clients to make the changes that are most meaningful to them. So it's not about us saying, hey, you need to do this and do this. It's really about going, okay, let's look together at what's going on for you, what's working, what's not working, and then helping them find their answers that are going to fit in their circumstances and within their capabilities and what their resources are. And then really guiding them through and past any blocks or obstacles that are keeping them stuck or moving them in the opposite direction. And then we've got things like appreciative inquiry, which is really where we focus on the positive. We focus on the strengths of the person and how to harness those strengths rather than necessarily focusing on, what you might call weaknesses. And then things like positive psychology, which is really about helping people to thrive, building their self-esteem, helping them to become happier, healthier, and then also motivational interviewing. So helping our clients explore what's going on for them and overcome any either ambivalence or fear around change or any sort of, motivational obstacles that are occurring for them.
Wow. And I do hear that, and I have experienced that during my own self-exploration, I suppose, is that sometimes we're not used to success. So having this problem somehow can serve our belief system around our success. And I think even when you can see when people start to succeed, sometimes that's when these underlying beliefs will pop up and actually kind of sabotage that to keep you back in that, no, you're not one who does succeed, or I'm not comfortable with success. So I think whilst there's a dealing with the issue of how we get to this state where our health is at risk, our weight is unmanaged, but what do we do and how will we cope with things when it's a success?
Absolutely.
And I think that's something that is definitely worth looking at.
Absolutely. If we think about this idea of getting back on track, which is a really common challenge after weight loss surgery, most people start with the doing. They think they need to start, moving more or refocusing on their nutrition. And those are absolutely those positive actions. However, the power to create permanent change actually starts by firstly getting clear on what they want to achieve and why. And I can talk about that in more detail, but also letting go of any limiting beliefs and identities that keep them repeating past behaviors. So for example, the strongest force in the human psyche is our need to be consistent with how we've chosen to define ourselves. So going back to what you're saying, if I've got an identity around, well, I'm lazy or I'm a yo-yo dieter or something, then I will take the actions that are consistent with that kind of identity because I need to prove myself right. And so, as I said, if I'm the one with the weight problem in my family, I have to keep on making sure that I hold on to that because that's who I believe I am. So to create change, we need to first get clear on what results we want and who we need to be in order to get those results and make sure that our self-talk and our self-beliefs are in alignment with that. Now, if I have a belief that, for example, say trauma or abuse can often be a source of overweight or excess weight for people. And if I have a belief that, okay, well, slimmer people get more attention, then unconsciously, if I have a fear of, well, I don't want more attention and I'm actually safer the other way, then I will sabotage myself. Or if I succeed, then I have to maintain those results, and that's going to take lots of work, and I may not be successful at maintaining it. And so to avoid the pain of experiencing, in quotation marks, failure, I might deliberately fail simply by not taking the actions, because then I don't risk experiencing failure and also proving myself right, because I don't want to experience that pain, if you like. So
absolutely,
it's all, these unconscious drivers. This is, our unconscious mind, which is 90 to 97% of what's going on for us, that determining our actions and our decisions and our thoughts and our feelings. And
that's just incredible. And I think these parts of ourselves that hold these beliefs are also, they have a protective role they've taken on. So it's working with what the purpose of that role was, and maybe reassigning that protective mechanism to allow this change to take place.
Absolutely, you're so right. Often people say, the gremlins in my mind and so on. However, that inner voice and those instincts to protect ourselves, they're actually loving instincts. It's a part of ourself. It's our unconscious mind. It's our sort of inner core that's trying to keep ourselves safe, because we've told it that we're not safe if certain things happen, or we've had experiences and made some decisions consciously or unconsciously. And once we uncover or shine a light on them and go, okay, well, hang on, what's the positive intention of this behavior? Oh, okay, well, it's to keep myself safe. And what would be the positive intention of that? Oh, well, it's to make sure that I'm happy. And what's the positive intention of that? Oh, well, it's so that I can be peaceful and calm. And you can kind of explore up and up and up. And then when we realize, actually, this behavior that is causing me to be stuck or to be challenged or to keep experiencing results I don't want, its intention is really beautiful. Its intention is really, really pure and loving. And so would it be okay, now that we know its intention, to just bring the behavior back in alignment, if you like, with the actual intention, which is to help me experience calm or happiness or freedom or whatever it is? So you're spot on. Like when, people say, oh, I'm my own worst enemy. And it's actually, you're always being your own best friend, if you like, in the sense that even those parts of us that can maybe be very critical and unkind, that part is simply trying to keep us safe, for example, safe from being hurt, safe from being rejected, safe from experiencing the pain of failure, whatever it is. And so once we can have gratitude, if you like, for that part, then change can happen, because that part doesn't have to work so hard anymore, because it knows you're going to take care of it.
Exactly. And I guess, it's a lot about that is allowing too, isn't it? Accessing, working through that, and then allowing these changes to take place.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to kind of bring that into alignment with the Back on this program that you're running. And what leads a patient to you? What are the most common issues you see when it comes to staying on track?
So one of the things that we do in our Fresh Start program, which is the whole 2-year support program, is we have a one-on-one support session with clients, usually sort of in the first 6 to 12 months after their surgery. And there's a purpose to that session. But one of the things that we are curious about in that session is exploring, okay, what's their most common challenge? Over time, the results of several thousand clients show consistently that it's the mindset elements that people are struggling most with. And the number one is emotional, mindless, or comfort eating. And then lack of motivation, then stress, then lack of time to exercise, which often comes from not being able to make yourself a priority, or low self-esteem, and then poor self-image. So with regards to people coming to the program, Fresh Start, the full Fresh Start program is where we partner with surgeons, and the program is part of a patient's surgical package. And then we've got the Get Back on Track program, because that's one part of the Fresh Start program, and also a standalone product. So in there's lots of different resources for the many different struggles and challenges people can face after weight loss surgery. And it's really that, first of all, getting them aware of how their mind works and what's going on, how are they getting in their own way. And the common thread, I guess, is, or the common starting point when someone is off track, is that their focus tends to be more on what they don't want instead of what they do want. So for example, they don't want to be overweight anymore, or they don't want to feel ill, or they don't want to keep yo-yoing with their weight. And this creates a problem, because the unconscious mind cannot process a negative. So if I'm focused on, I don't want to be overweight anymore, if I say, don't think of a blue chicken, you have to think of a blue chicken before you can not think of a blue chicken. So if I say, I don't want to be overweight anymore, my unconscious mind hears, I want to be overweight.
Yes.
And so my unconscious mind is beautifully designed to deliver with actions and thoughts and decisions what I've asked it for.
Some people's unconscious minds are incredibly quick too.
Yes.
So yeah, it all comes back to language and self-talk. And I do hear that a lot of the time. I don't want this and I don't want that. It's like, well, what do you want?
Yes, absolutely. That's an important question.
It's like a big brother that's always listening, and delivering because they're at your beck and call, happy to serve, but you need to give the right food and the right thoughts as well.
Absolutely. That's the thing. We can use the power of our mind for good and not, evil, if you like. What we focus on is what we get. That's why, if I'm thinking of a certain car or a certain gadget or a song, that's why I suddenly start seeing that car or hearing that song or seeing that gadget everywhere, because my mind and our minds are designed to filter out of our awareness what we don't need to be aware of and filter into our awareness what we've told it is important.
Yeah, correct. And so, that's fascinating as far as belief systems and recurring thoughts.
Yes.
With the weight loss surgery journey, do you see this almost the sabotage or the falling off track? Do you find that happens at a certain time, or is it different for everybody?
I'd say first of all, it's not guaranteed that will ever happen. That's something that people can do as well. If they hear of someone or they see someone who has struggled or has come off track, there can be an assumption or an unconscious decision of, okay, well, that's inevitable for me. And so, of course, it is, because our beliefs become self-fulfilling prophecies. However, if we were to see someone starting to struggle, I would say it usually happens around sort of that 12 to 18 months sort of area. Things are generally kind of easier in that first 6 to 12 months. The weight loss tends to be more effortless initially. And it's when the weight loss slows down, that's when we tend to see maybe old habits creep in again, especially if those lifestyle and mindset changes haven't been made early on. So it's almost like the foot on the pedal of the surgery is eased, and then we start to see, okay, well, what's underneath? What's kind of what else is going on while this tool that's been working really, really well and really, really hard is now maybe not working quite so hard. It's still there. It's still useful. It's still going to make a difference. However, I need to actually work with it even more. So that's really where we start to see it, and where we see people going, oh, I'm starting to notice that I'm snacking, or my motivation is gone, and I'm not making myself a priority. I'm not going for my walks, or I'm finding life really stressful, and I'm not sleeping, and so on. So there's all sorts of things that can happen, and it's that lifestyle piece that impacts sort of and influences the extent to which that tool can do its work, if you like.
Yes. And I see perhaps the extrinsic motivation of the feedback that, fast weight loss, people are talking about it, people are commenting, noticing, you're looking well, you get all that kind of, everywhere you go, you get that feedback. And I think once that slows or starts to fade, then it's up to self-motivation. And that's when we see you have to be self-reliant to keep that motivation going. And those deep underlying understandings of ourselves could be then in the way of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if someone is holding on to an old identity. So, they may have an intention of achieving a particular goal, whether it's a size or a weight or an outfit or an experience, and they might achieve it. However, if there's still an identity, as in I'm overweight, or I'm an emotional eater, or I'm the biggest one in the family, or whatever it is, if they haven't let go of that identity, then they're going to have to be dragged back to the kind of results that person gets. So it's really, really important to go, okay, what do I want to create for myself? Why do I want it? And then what kind of person gets those results? What kind of beliefs does that person have? Because that person believes that she makes nutritious choices all the time. That person finds making herself or himself a priority really easy. That person believes that they are vital and energetic and active and confident. Okay, so it's first about figuring out what's my desired destination.
Yeah, and what does it look like, and
what does it look like? What does it feel like? What do I need to take on, and what do I need to let go of? You know, the analogy that we use is you've got to be clear on what your destination is in order to get there. So, you know, if we get in our car, we generally have a destination in mind. And because we have a destination in mind, we can aim towards that destination, and we know when we're off track, and we can plan our journey, if you like.
Yeah, correct.
If I get in my car and I don't really have a destination in mind, well, yeah, I might end up somewhere really, really wonderful, and I might end up somewhere that I don't particularly want to be. And that's what happens in life. You know, if we don't get deliberate and get clear and specific about, okay, what do I want? Where do I want to go? And what identities, what beliefs do I need to take on in order to achieve that and maintain it?
And that's where the fake it till you make it, you know, taking on these new ways of being that feel so comfortable in a lot of ways, different ways of doing things and different choices, and just keep, you know, reminding yourself that that's going to lead you to where you're headed. I did hear of a woman who just took on the belief or the mantra almost of what would a healthy person do.
Perfect.
So she was always making choices from what would a healthy person do?
Absolutely.
Would a healthy person catch the bus, or would they walk 2 blocks? What would a healthy person do? And she lost about 40 kilograms just by running the choice of what would a healthy person do here, and changed her health around, and, you know, really started to head towards that goal, because she's asking that question of what do people who have what I want, what do they do? And it's so powerful. Our mind is so incredible.
So powerful. And, you know, we can change the programming. It takes some planning and some effort. And, you know, for her to ask herself that question, absolutely, what does a healthy person do? And then what she's doing is actually taking actions that a healthy person would do. So she's actually reinforcing to herself, well, then I must be a healthy person because I'm doing those actions. And then it's a bit of a loop. It's like I'm taking the action, so I must be a healthy person, therefore I must take these actions.
And then the unconscious starts to believe that.
Absolutely. And then, you know, that's why affirmations can be so powerful, because you can use them to interrupt the old stories and the old beliefs and also reprogram. So, you know, we might have a little voice in our head that goes, you know, if I'm saying I'm slim and healthy, and there's a little voice that says, well, no, you're not yet. So you can change that and go, I am becoming. Every day I'm becoming healthier and happier. Every day I'm making myself a priority more and more. Every day I'm becoming a more energetic version of me, you know, and talk in terms of what you're becoming and what you're moving towards. Those affirmations can really just start to shift that mental programming and interrupt. You know, if we think about scratching the record, for those of us that are old enough to know about records, scratching the CD, still people who might be too young for that.
We've got to move quickly
to just interrupt those old mental neural pathways that are really, really automatic. Absolutely.
Also, I hear I can't, and I always think I'm working on that, or I'm getting better at that. I think there's real power in our language, and if we listen or maybe even write down the thoughts we have, you can see where they become roadblocks to
Absolutely.
success. And
our language is so powerful.
Yeah, it's incredible.
You know, even if we just put in the little word yet, I'm not there yet. Yeah, and that then creates possibility rather than stopping us in our tracks.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. And do you feel there's enough emphasis placed on retraining our beliefs and our relationship with food, rather than the hope that having more willpower will be the answer?
Look, not generally, which is why our program has evolved as it has, because there's actually very few people offering what we offer. And as I mentioned, we started off ourselves thinking that nutrition and movement and mindset were all equally important. And this mindset piece is the key in terms of what we've discovered and what we've seen. And so we really want to support people to realize the power that they're looking for is already there. It's between their ears. And the more they engage with changing their mindset and gaining tools that enable them to manage their mindset and harness the power of their mindset and realign their beliefs and their identities and their values, for example, towards health, towards vitality, towards whatever they want for themselves, then that's how they're going to create the change and also help it last for themselves.
And I guess when you're making these changes to the way you associate with yourself, I dare say these benefits would not just be health related. Would they not be life changing in certain other areas as well?
Absolutely.
Do you see that?
Absolutely. And, really with any coaching principles, you could apply anything that we share on, whether it's the Fresh Start program or the Get Back on Track program, to any area of life, because they are really about harnessing your own personal power. And you're absolutely right. Our health is the foundation for everything. When our health is improved or our health is optimal, everything else in life flows easier, feels easier. We're more able to cope. We tend to make better choices in our actions, in our decisions, in our relationships, in our finances, in our careers and so on. And every positive change has a ripple with our health. It's going to impact how we perform at work. It's going to impact our level of patience with our children. It's going to impact how much time we give to ourselves. Therefore, we're even more able to give to others, for example. So it's absolutely, it's very far reaching. It's about healthier and happier lives rather than weight loss as such.
Yeah, it's a big picture view then, I think, which is, whilst you're just working on one segment, it seems the rest will, also blossom once those weight loss are taken away. It's fascinating. Yeah. And so what do you see could be done better to prevent the need for this regaining control as time goes on, or getting back on track as time goes on?
Look, ideally, we always encourage our clients to make lifestyle changes as early as possible, make mindset changes as early as possible. In that first 12 months, when you don't have to think too much about food, for example, or eating apart from relearning, what does my body tolerate? What can I eat? And so on. I'm not saying that period is easy. There's a lot of learning and relearning that goes on. However, while that tool, whatever procedure you've had, is doing its kind of maximum, ideally we want to be making the lifestyle and mindset changes early and not waiting until problems arise before taking action, and not also putting our health on hold. What we often hear is, well, okay, I'll focus on my health when COVID is over. I'll focus on my health when my kids' exams have finished. I'll focus on my health when I've met this deadline. However, if we focus on our health on an ongoing basis, then that makes us even more able to thrive with the kids' exams and the deadlines and coronavirus and so on. So, not waiting to make our health a priority. There's also the aspect in terms of it's never too late as well. It's never too late. If it hasn't happened in the first 12 months, that's totally okay. It's never too late. One of the things that we talk about is feedback, not failure. And that's what that is about, is letting go of this idea that failure is even possible. We don't talk about failure. We just simply talk about results. We get results from the actions that we take, and we might love some of those results and we might not love some of those results. And so then it becomes about giving ourselves the freedom to say, okay, with these results, what information am I getting? What's working? What's not working? What might I need to do differently? What are the gaps? Who do I need to talk to? What can I learn here? So, we're all human. We all make mistakes. We don't tick the box every single time. And rather than seeing those moments when we do mess up or make a poor choice or get it wrong or don't follow through on something that we said we would do, in terms of going for a walk or prepping our meals or something on a Sunday, is actually, rather than seeing that as firstly, evidence that, see, this is never going to work, I do this every time, or B, see it as, okay, well, that was a bad morning or a bad day, so this whole week is written off. Simply see it as feedback. It's information. Okay, so I didn't follow through then. What got in the way? That's, what can I do differently next time? Okay, because those mistakes and those periods, if you like, where we're not looking after ourselves, for example, they're actually full of really valuable information. They're full of gold, because when we start again and restart, we've now got way more information than we had last time when we started. So
And I guess
there's a gift there.
Yeah, looking at when this happens, I've done this in the past, and how would I do that differently to head towards my goal? Rather
Absolutely.
than it's Tuesday and I've eaten chocolate, so I'll wait till Monday because I've blown this whole week. So it gives that reset opportunity on a more regular basis rather than the defeat and throwing the toys out of the pram, so to speak.
Absolutely. And also not attaching our self-worth to the outcome of something. You know, we can kind of get wrapped up in the, if I don't succeed at this, whether it's, you know, if I don't succeed at doing 3 walks this week, or if I don't succeed at achieving this goal, you know, whether it's small, big steps or little steps, that means something about me. That means I'm not enough. That means that I'm going to forever be overweight. That means I'm failure, whatever we can make it mean. If we attach a meaning to an outcome which determines who we are and what we're worth, then we're naturally going to kind of move away from following through on that action, because we're not going to want to risk discovering that we're actually not enough, because that's one of those core human fears that pretty much all of us have at some level. And so we'll not even risk taking the action because we don't want to discover that that's true. So it's really worth being aware, if you're making it mean, or if your listeners are making something mean something about them, rather than, oh look, if I don't go for my 3 walks, then that will be really interesting, because that will give me some information about when, you know, maybe 3 walks was too ambitious this week, or maybe the timing doesn't work with this particular week's requirement, or maybe I let the weather put me off, or whatever it is. It's simply information, simply feedback. It means nothing about us at all, unless we make it mean something about us.
Yeah, that's right. I was going to say, where humans are the greatest meaning-making machines there are.
Yes,
so whatever happens,
so true.
We're always looking for the meaning.
Absolutely.
When it's just information that we can work with, rather than set us up, fail, or, you know, put in place that stops us in our tracks. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I wonder if you've got something, when you think of your work to date, is there one story or one certain case that you've seen that stands out in your mind?
You're going to make me think one. Oh my goodness. Can I pick 3?
Yeah, I can meld them all together into one amazing story.
Yeah, it would be too hard to pick one. I mean, there's so many stories, and my favorites are always the ones where there's this physical transformation that lights the person up. You know, it's not about they've achieved a certain standard, it's they have lit themselves up, and also the kind of mental transformation. So for example, one lady we had a few years ago, Tracy, you know, we did the support session visualization, and she visualized who she wanted to be, or how she wanted her life and vitality to be, and she saw herself in running gear, and that gave her a huge shock. and she ended up taking up running, and then she became, and you know, small steps, literally, you know, 50-meter little jogs to half marathons to marathons. To 2 years ago, she ran across Scotland.
Wow.
So like, just complete transformations. We've got Isaac, who he has let go of 120 kilos. He went from, you know, not being able to, worrying about chairs and whether he would be able to get out of a chair if he got into a chair and things like that. And now he's this really strong, healthy kind of power lifter. And he just transformed his life. And it's not just those sort of, you know, people who discover fitness and health and so on. You know, I think Alison, she went from having really low self-esteem and loads of health issues. She had the surgery. She took on, you know, all the tools and really kind of embraced it and engaged with it. And so much so that, you know, she went for her dream job, and she never would have done that before her surgery, and she got it. And, you know, she created this whole new life for herself that was full of, you know, vitality and energy and enthusiasm and happiness and fulfillment. And, you know, those stories are what really kind of drive us and light us up, because
that's really, not just weight loss, is it?
No,
it's
not at
just
all.
A whole nother light going on somewhere that really you know, shines over every area. It sounds to me like you wouldn't have to wait to be off track to use your program. It's something that I think, you know, don't wait for the wheels to fall off and look for something to save you and change you then. Why not start early, like you say.
Absolutely.
If any of our listeners are keen to get back on track or to start something working on their mindset, what can they expect from the program?
So, Jackie, you're spot on. We say it's a get back on track program. It's also a stay on track program.
Yeah.
It's the principles that we use daily to stay on track in our lives and in our health, and you can use them to stay on track or get back on track. So the get back on track program, for example, what we've done there is we've kind of taken our kind of key pieces. So it's a comprehensive insight into themselves, how their mind works, and how also they've been possibly or probably setting themselves up to knock themselves off course, and how to turn it around. Because, as we say, it's not about eating less or better. It's not about moving more. Usually, if they're off track, it's about your current mental programming, why we do what we do, and why staying on track hasn't worked up to now. Because so much of our behavior, as we've said, is carried out automatically at that unconscious level. We're on autopilot. And so in the program, we look at how to change these automatic behaviors. And we use videos, reflection activities, hypnosis, and visualization audios to assist with reprogramming the unconscious mind. So simple and powerful strategies that can be applied really, really immediately to actually start reaping benefits and changes quite quickly.
Yeah, that was my next question was, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months down the track, accessing those bit by bit. Do you see some really differences in the way people change? Are some faster than others?
Yes, in terms of it depends what people do with the information. And this is another piece, is that it's information until we actually apply it. So some people will take it on board and kind of ponder it and mull it over and maybe apply some of it. Some people apply all of it all at once, and there's no right way of doing it. It's and that's the thing. It's really whatever works for you, whatever fits for you, because different things are going to make sense at different times and in different ways. And you can revisit the content every month and get a different kind of understanding or a different way to apply it. So there's no one size fits all experience. What we do find is that people often say to us, wow, I had no idea that it worked like this. I've never understood why things have happened, and now I do, and no one's explained it like this before. So we do aim to make it really accessible, really easy to understand, and really easy to apply. So it's not, big, massive changes that require transforming everything. It's like, look, let's just give you some awareness first, and here's some ideas, and here's an audio to listen to, so that your unconscious mind is actually being reprogrammed, and you don't even need to think about it. And then you could do some practical things here, and you could do some little bits of planning here. So it really depends how people want to use it.
It sounds well-rounded and wonderful as far as the access to creating change goes. I feel like I'm signing up myself. It sounds great. How would I access this program? I've listened to your amazing recount of how it all works. If I decide I'd like to jump on board, where would you start?
Well, to thank you for giving me the opportunity to come and have a chat to you today. We've got two special kind of gifts, I guess, for your listeners. So first of all, we're making the full Get Back on Track program available at a discounted rate. So that's sort of $97 for the whole program, all the videos, all the audios, all the reflection activities. And then as well, we've also got our Beating Mindless Eating program, because I said earlier, that's the number one challenge that we've seen for people who've had weight loss surgery. And also with what's going on in the world.
It's the 2020 challenge of the year.
It is. It is. So we've seen that, a lot of people are using food as a coping strategy, or finding that habit is creeping back, or the unnecessary snacking and so on. So we would love to make that a program that your listeners can access as well. And we've given that a discount as well. So it's usually $97, and for your listeners, they can access that program for $27. And again, that's
fantastic.
Videos and hypnosis audios and visualizations and so on. And we get awesome feedback about that, because it's not on the doing level. So a lot of strategies will be, okay, what do you want to have? What are the results you want? Excuse me. And what actions should you take to get them? And where we focus is actually underneath that, the being, the mindset piece. So, what's the mindset? What do you need to do on a mindset level in terms of your being and the way you're thinking in order to influence the actions you take, the doing, in order to actually get the results you want. So it's very much a different kind of program. Both of them are, in terms of what other people might have used before. And our aim is really to help people create permanent mindset change.
I guess if you have these underlying, unconscious goings on, no meal plan in the world is going to work, is it?
No.
If you hold these beliefs, you can plan the absolute bejesus out of your week and set it all up, but it will not work if you've got these parts of yourself that are, stronger than us. We don't even know we're doing it half the time. So it's shining a light on those areas and helping them to heal. It sounds wonderful, and I'm so grateful for your kind offer. We will pop the links to the 2 programs in our show notes and also on the bnmulti.com website.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much for your time today and for your helping us to understand how strong our mindset can be and what a big part it plays in our success over the longer term.
My pleasure, Jackie. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I really enjoyed having a chat.
I'm glad. Thank you very much. Take care.
See you. Bye.
Thanks for listening, and just before you go, we would love to hear your feedback, so please give us a rating and review. For other interesting topics of conversation and inspiration, come and drop into our Facebook community at BN Bariatric. If you've enjoyed our podcast, we hope you will share on your Facebook or Instagram and hit subscribe so you'll never miss an episode.